Hello, everybody. You are listening to the Natural Healing Show for UK Health Radio. I'm your host, Catherine Carrigan, medical intuitive healer and Amazon #1 bestselling author. You can find out more about me and my work at catherinecarrigan.com and unlimitedenergynow.com. While you're there, sign up for my newsletter so that you can learn even more about how you can heal yourself naturally. Now, today we're going to be talking about natural healing for respiratory issues. What are respiratory issues? Asthma, chronic obstructive pulmonary disorder, bronchitis. And our guest today is Sutera Ritrawe, the owner of the saltpipe.co.uk in Durham, England. And you can find out more about her and her wonderful work at www.thesaltpipe.co.uk. Welcome, Sutera.
Hello. Hi, Catherine.
So Sutera and her husband discovered about salt therapy when her husband encountered serious respiratory issues in 2005. And he made many failed attempts with medication through the National Health Service in the UK. But finally, her husband, who's from Hungary, correct?
Yes, it is, yes.
And Sutera is from Taiwan. So
Thailand.
Yeah. So her husband went back to Hungary, where he came from, and discovered salt therapy. So since then, Rit has become an expert in salt therapy, and her passion for science has led her to start her own company. So, Sutera, can you tell us the story about your husband, what health issues that he had, and the health journey that he went through before discovering salt therapy?
He used to have a problem with the bronchitis, that he always have persistent cough and lots of phlegm and chest infection all the time. And we try to find the way to treat him. But unfortunately, like lots of medication and lots of consultant from the doctor, it doesn't help. And later on, when he went back to Hungary during the Christmas time, and he found that like there should be something. They went to the doctor in Hungary as well, but it won't help. And one of his friends advised him the salt pipe, and he's just skeptical, like what is that kind of therapy? He never heard about that. And then he got the salt pipe, and of course he tried to use it with some skeptical knowledge about this, and after that, the feedback from his family, his son said, "Oh, Dad, I hardly hear your coughing. It's very, very how it happened." And he said, "Because I use this, and that is the way that the first time that we found this salt pipe." Yeah.
Okay, so when I'm working with clients as a medical intuitive, when I read the body, I read 5 levels of the body: the physical body, the energetic body, the emotional, the mental, and the spiritual. So I'm going to share for our audience some of the things that I do when I'm working with people with lung issues. So first thing that I want people with lung issues to do is engage in breathing exercises every day. Now, if you go to unlimitedenergynow.com, and you will find free videos and lots of articles about breathing exercises. And there's a little 8-minute breathing routine that I teach my clients called 8 minutes to inner peace. Now, many people say, well, I'm breathing, I'm still alive, I'm breathing. But people with lung problems don't breathe properly. Now, I've taught yoga for 22 years, and there's 5 flows of breath. The inhale, the exhale, there's a breath around your waist, there's a breath called Vyana Vayu that goes from your navel out into your extremities, and there's another breath around the head. So if I'm working with somebody with breathing difficulties of any kind, I'm going to figure out which flows of breath are not working properly. but many people are not using their full lung capacity. I remember years ago working with a naturopath, and he said that one day he took a little machine that measured oxygen uptake, and he measured the people who worked in his office, and he said had they been in the hospital, that every single one of them would have needed supplementary oxygen, because when you're sedentary and you sit a lot, you don't use your full lung capacity. So breathing exercises in yoga, we call this pranayama. And whether you call it pranayama, some fancy term, or breathing exercises, you can actually increase your lung capacity and release a tremendous amount of emotional stress with breathing exercises. Now, another thing that I like to do in a lung health protocol is camu berry powder for high vitamin C. So camu berry is a really good natural source of vitamin C. I like my clients to, if they've got lung problems, to eat 2 to 3 kiwi fruit every day. Kiwi fruit is especially helpful for the lungs. If somebody's got lung problems, I want them to avoid cow's milk products and substitute almond, coconut, or hazelnut milk, or goat milk and goat cheese. Use coconut oil when doing any high heat cooking. And the reason that's so helpful is that coconut oil is antiviral and antimicrobial, because a lot of lung problems are related to viruses and microbes. It's very important that if you have lung problems that you stay well hydrated, because if you're dehydrated, that means that your body's not going to be able to absorb oxygen properly. And I'm going to want my clients with lung problems to take either a daily smoothie or juices, fresh made juices, and build up their antioxidant levels naturally with a high fruit and vegetable diet. I really like goji berries, which are high in beta carotene, as well as carrots, pumpkins, and sweet potatoes. Other foods that are high in beta carotene are going to help your lungs. And it's really important to check the humidity in your home. Here in the southern part of the US where I live, it's very common for people to have mold in their homes. We did another show here, the Natural Healing Show, about mold in your homes. And according to the Centers for Disease Control in the US, if your humidity is over 50%, you're going to have mold. And lots of people have mold that are affecting their immune system and affecting their lungs. And you can test for this. Go back and listen or watch our show that we did about mold. And if you've got lung problems, you definitely want to vacuum your house regularly. If you're suffering from lung problems yourself, maybe you don't do the vacuuming, but it's not a family member to clean your house so that you're not breathing in lots of house dust. And look at your home and check to see if your air ducts need to be cleaned. Many people are living in older homes whose air ducts have never been cleaned. So realize that you can have someone professionally clean your air ducts. And I recommend that if you hire an air duct company, that you do the research and make sure that they do a really good job. Now, Sutera, back to you. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about some of the most common respiratory issues that people suffer from in the UK. What are they?
They're mostly since we have been working with the salt therapy for a long time, most common of the respiratory disease is asthma, allergy. It's come from the thing what you have already mentioned as the lifestyle and how they breathe and the things, stuff like that. And also the lifestyle of the people change a lot. Nowadays, they quite stressed and they live in the environment with very polluted. Air pollution affect a lot and lots of chemical around us that should cause lots of problem with the allergy, and that will trigger asthma for the people. And also for the people who about 40 plus, it tends to be that they got the problem with the lungs, like chronic COPD or bronchitis, because like they used to smoke before. that is a common thing that happen in UK. Like lots of customers come to us with the problem with majority with asthma and allergy and COPD, as well as with the sinus infection. They cannot breathe properly because everything is blocked around the nose, and because the what you have mentioned, the food, the cow milk, the thing that getting to the impact the body a lot, and that's the most common thing that happen in UK.
Yes. Now, I myself, years ago, and I'm talking 28 years ago, I was diagnosed with asthma myself, and I had to use an inhaler. So I had two inhalers, not just one, but two. And I can attest to how uncomfortable it is to have asthma. And what was interesting for me was being diagnosed with asthma was a real turning point in my health, because at that point, I myself decided to get more fit, because I decided that if I had reduced lung capacity, if I got more fit, then even when I was having an asthma attack, I would have a better lung capacity. And at the time that I was diagnosed with asthma, I would get out of breath walking across a flat parking lot. So I know how uncomfortable it was. Now, Sutera, what exactly was your husband's lung diagnosis?
He has been diagnosed to have the bronchitis, and he have lots of infection coming up, and the most irritation is a coughing without stop. That is very annoying for the people nearby, and also he feel frustrated for himself as well.
Yeah.
He was prescribed the inhaler too, but he refused to use it because it have side effects to the body too much, and he doesn't like it.
Yeah. And I can remember, myself, using the inhalers, and they're basically steroid inhalers to feel high and ungrounded. And again, using the inhalers was part of what motivated me to get healthier, because it's like, I don't want to keep living this way. Now, Sutera, how can someone with respiratory issues continue to enjoy an active lifestyle?
I think in this concept, I think they have to turn to find the way, like yourself who has experienced that, they should find something to improve their lifestyle, like rather than subjected to the treatment of the doctor. They should like exercise much more, changing their diet regime, or trying to investigate what source of the problem of their problems and try to solve at the right point of the problem, instead of trying to stop the symptom that what they have. Majority people around here, when they got the problems, they try to stop it rather than try to understand it, which is a very, very difficult to change their thinking about, like, this is a problem you have to solve at the first start rather than try to solve at the end. And that will be the way that they will be living inactive with the symptom what they have, that because eventually they try to control it and try to eliminate it slowly.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it's all about just getting healthier. And, for me, also being diagnosed with asthma, it helped me identify that I had severe allergies. And like many people with allergies, I had both food allergies as well as environmental allergies. And by the way, I've been tested by medical doctors, and my asthma is completely gone. I have completely normal lung function. And of course, teaching yoga for 22 years, yoga, Tai Chi, and Qigong, relaxing exercise, walking in fresh air, where you give your lungs an opportunity to breathe fully and easily. If somebody has respiratory issues, I would not recommend they do high intensity exercise like running or spin classes, because that's going to put you in a high cortisol state, and it's going to actually make it harder for you to get a full lung capacity. Although those are often referred to as aerobic exercise, anytime you get your heart rate over 100 beats per minute on a consistent basis, your body has to secrete the stress hormone cortisol, and you're not going to be getting the oxygen fully down to your cells. Mm-hmm. So the other thing that's very interesting, as I said, in my work, when I'm looking at an issue and determining what are the causative factors, as I mentioned, I'm looking at the physical body, the energetic body, the emotions, the mind, and the soul level, what's going on. And on the emotional level, lung issues are about the following emotions. Guilt. So guilt, anything that you feel guilty about the past. Grief. You hold the emotion of grief in your lungs. So unresolved past issues. Regret. Again, you're regretting something that has happened in the past. Release. You haven't fully let go of the past. Self-worth and self-esteem. So when you have good self-esteem, you're going to feel humble before the beauty and wonder of the universe. Enthusiasm. When your lungs are operating at your full capacity, you're going to have a natural enthusiasm for life. You hold the emotion of depression in your lungs. So again, a lot of depression is just unresolved past issues that you haven't let go of. And lungs are also about letting go. So if you have chronic lung problems, I'm going to be looking at what issues from the past you haven't let go of. Indifference, like you don't really care about your life. And compassion. Again, when you develop that full lung capacity, you're going to have more compassion for yourself and for everyone around you. Sadness, you definitely hold sadness in your lungs. And also apathy, which is, I just don't really care. So if you've got chronic lung problems, you want to inquire with yourself, what are the emotions that I'm holding that I'm not resolving? And usually when it's lung issue, it's going to be past issues that you have not fully resolved. Now, Sutera, how did your husband discover the salt pipe? Because I understand that the salt pipes that you all have are not something that you invented, but something you found out about. So how did your husband find out about the salt pipe?
Because he has a problem, he went back to Hungary, and somebody advised him to get the pipe. And later on, when he used it, he found it very, very helpful. And later on, we tried to see whether it's available in UK or not. But unfortunately, in UK, we don't know about salt therapy, which is very well known in European, especially Eastern European. Lots of study and treatment about salt therapy is very well known over there. And we try to contact to the Hungarian manufacturer who invented this salt pipe. It's come across by two gentlemen who has a problem with asthma and allergy. They used to go to the salt cave to inhale the salt air, fresh air, and it's a course about 45 minutes that you have to sit and inhale the air. And after that, they try to find out how they can make this treatment accessible for the people. And at the end of the day, in 2002, they invent the device called salt pipe and try to test in the hospital as well. That lots of before it's gonna be on the market, some hospital been test on this kind of device, and it finds very helpful and very handy to use for the people in terms of to access easier, not too much expensive, and the people can help to maintain themselves at home.
Now, Sutera, how does a person actually use a salt pipe?
Yeah, I do use the salt pipe. Luckily, I don't have the problem with asthma, but because I'm from Thailand, when I come across to England, the majority of the problem what I have around more than 20 years is catching cold, very easy because the weather is quite humid and cold. So when in the past when I catch a cold, I don't know what to do because I have to go to see doctor, get prescription antibiotics. It won't help. It seemed to be prolong my symptom much more than trying to stop it. And later on when I use the salt pipe, after I found the salt pipe and use it, it tend to be when I start feeling that I'm going to catch a cold and have a sore throat, I immediately use the salt pipe. It helps to heal look like it shorten down the symptom down, and I can recover much easier, and the sore throat and everything get relief much more, because the salt itself, like if you have the sore throat and you can gargling it with the salt water, but with the salt pipe it going down deeper to your lungs and make to maintain it much better.
Now, it appears that a salt pipe is a small device that you hold in your hand. It's a handheld device, and you hold it up to your nose. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's like this. This is a salt pipe, and when you use it, you just put into your mouth, inhale it into the mouth, out to the nose. But somebody who have problem with the blocked nose can use it to the nose, inhale it and take it out. Yeah.
So a salt pipe can either be used through the nose or the mouth. Is that correct?
Yeah, or the mouth. Yes, it is. Yes.
Now, being a long-term yogi, I've also used neti pots, and many people are very familiar with neti pots, where you're using a little pot and it contains salt water, and you're inhaling the salt water through your nose and cleansing your nasal cavities. So how does a salt pipe differ from a neti pot?
From the neti pot, it clean only the nasal passage where the water can go through. But because the salt pipe is an inhaler that you inhale the vapor of the salt, it can go deeper than the place where the water cannot go. For example, when you inhale it, go to the nasal cavity, it probably go to your ears as well to help to reduce some infection inside teeth. Which is I found it, neti pot is good, but it's only about some part of the body, but salt pipe can go a bit much more. Yeah.
Now, of course, many of our listeners will have had times when we've suffered a sore throat and we do saltwater gargling.
Yeah.
And so how does using a salt pipe differ from gargling with salt water?
Yeah, when you gargling the salt water, it have limitation that you can gargling some part of the throat. But when you're using the salt pipe, because it is an air, it's go deep down to the lungs as well. Because when you have the sore throat, you don't know whether you have infection only around your throat or even deeping down that. And when you use the salt pipe, the air is going down and probably some phlegm inside it, and will be able to be loosened as well. Yeah.
Okay. Now, many of us also have had the privilege of going to the seashore. So, for example, I grew up in Savannah, Georgia, and during the summertime, we would walk on the beach or get in a boat and take a boat ride out into the ocean. So, can you share with us the benefits of breathing salty air? So, for example, when you go to the beach or the ocean.
Yeah, it's a similar concept, because eventually when you inhale the air from the seashore, you inhale the salty air into the body, and it's similar to the going to the salt cave or inhaling to the salt pipe, because in the salt cave it used to be the sea before, and after that with the develop of when the earth changed and things, and the salt being formed into the inside the panel of the place and become the cave over there. And virtually it's the same concept, but with the salt pipe it's easy to use much more. Yeah, but all the thing about salt therapy, salt cave therapy, and go to the seaside, I think it had the same concept of the inhaling the salt air to the lungs.
Yeah. So going back to how does salt therapy actually work?
Because the salt itself have the antiseptic property, and when you inhale it, it goes deep down to the lungs, and it also loosens the phlegm inside the chest. It helps for self-cleaning process of the lungs, and also with some mineral inside the pipes, for example like magnesium, it helps to reduce some inflammation inside the airway passage for people who might have asthma, the tube getting to be inflamed by infection, and it can help to relieve much more. Yeah.
Okay. Now I'd like to share for our audience a recipe for a smoothie that you can make that will help your lungs. So whether you're suffering from a cold or the flu or bronchitis or asthma or chronic obstructive pulmonary disorder, this is a smoothie that you can make. So if you're taking notes, this would be a good time to take notes. There different people talk about which is the best blender. I myself have a Blendtec blender, but you could also make this in a NutriBullet or a Vitamix or one of those high-speed blenders. So in this recipe, you're going to take about 2 cups of distilled water. Now, what's so special about distilled water is that it's very free of particles. So most water has particles in it. And when you're using distilled water, it's very, very pure. So it's going to help pull toxins out of your body. So you're going to start with about 2 cups of distilled water, 2 cups of white corn cut from the cob, 5 fresh mint leaves, along with the stem. And I've got an organic garden, and mint is really easy to grow in the garden. Here in the American South, you plant mint in the garden and it's going to take over like a weed, but it's really good for your lungs, really good for your digestive system. You're going to get a carrot. Of course, carrots are high in beta carotene. About 1-inch slice of ginger root. Now, we all love ginger. Ginger is anti-inflammatory. So anytime you've got a disease or illness ending in itis, like bronchitis or arthritis, then you've got inflammation. Ginger is anti-inflammatory, and the more ginger you can include in your diet, the healthier you will be and the lower your inflammations are going to be. So you're going to include about 1-inch slice of ginger root, fresh ginger, with the gingerol, the wonderful phytochemical, and 8 ounces of organic strawberries. And of course, we want to use organic food whenever possible, because if you go to the store and don't get organic food, then you're going to be taking in a tremendous amount of toxic chemicals. And strawberries are among the most toxic of the fruits, unless you're picking organic ones. So find yourself some good organic strawberries. 2 peeled kiwis, and again, kiwis are one of the best fruits in the world to eat on a daily basis if you've got lung problems. And about 2 tablespoons of organic goji berries. So goji berries are the most concentrated source of beta carotene, which is fabulous for the lungs. And about 8 ounces of goji berries is the equivalent amount of beta carotene of about, I believe, 25 pounds of carrots. So, you know, if you like goji berries, they taste like raisins, a little, not exactly, but wonderful and delicious. And then you're going to get 10 dried cordyceps. So what are cordyceps? Cordyceps are kind of mushroom, and you can usually buy dried cordyceps on the internet. And cordyceps, the mushroom, is fabulous for building up your immune system. So you're going to blend all of this together in your Vitamix or your Blendtec or your NutriBullet or your high-speed blender. And again, I'm going to read that recipe again. 2 cups distilled water, 2 cups of white corn cut from the cob, 5 fresh mint leaves along with the stem, 1 carrot, 1 inch of sliced ginger, 8 ounces of organic strawberries, 2 peeled kiwis, 2 tablespoons of organic goji berries, and 10 dried cordyceps. And you're going to blend that up. Now, again, anytime we're drinking fresh homemade juices or making smoothies, you're building your health. There's no side effects of eating a high phytochemical diet other than better energy and increased immune system. So that's my favorite recipe that I like to recommend for clients with lung problems. Now, Sutera, how did you and your husband bring salt therapy back to the UK?
Because it's original from when we know the benefit of the salt pipe, And then we think about one of our friends who's suffering with the sinus problems, hay fever in England. And we brought the salt pipe here. We have only one salt pipe at that time. And we try to find it in UK, but nobody know about that. We go to pharmacy and ask, you have salt pipe. And at the end of the day, we end up to couldn't find any like salt therapy and make the people confused even more. What is the salt therapy? And after that, we contact back to the manufacturer, like why not salt pipe will be in UK? And they said because the people not really interested about this, because people usually use medication and they're happy to use inhaler and they don't bother about like trying something else new. And I said, okay, in this case, probably maybe I would like to be able to bring this product and try to promote it and let the people will be have another chance to find alternative way that they can use. And after that we agree and we got the salt pipe here. At the first start it's very, and of course my friend that I want to give the pipe, I give it to her, and he at that period of time, it's the summer season, she very delighted because she could go out to work in the garden again. Because usually hay fever season here is like horrified nightmare time for the people who have the allergy problems. And after at the first start, when we try to sell this product for the people, it's very very hard because people said why we need salt, like salt is bad, like you shouldn't eat salt too much. But after we try to change the concept, virtually you are trying to inhale the air from the salt pipe. You virtually don't eat the salt like spoon by spoon, because the salt pipe like this, it lasts for 5 years and contains 50 grams of the salt. And you at the 5 years the salt still there, you inhale only the vapor of the salt. Later on, I think we work for the salt pipe for 13 years now. People tend to change the concept about thinking about salt into the good way, that okay, salt can help for their breathing problems rather than trying to make them solve problems. Yeah.
Yes. Now, and then also here in the US, I know that some people go to salt rooms. So these are designated rooms for therapeutic purposes, and the walls are completely surrounded by salt, and they're going there for the same reason, but different from the salt pipe. You have to drive to the salt room and sit in them and so on. Now, of course, one of the things that we know is that Himalayan salt, that Himalayan pink sea salt, is very, very beneficial. It's helpful even for people with high blood pressure. So I know a lot of people, like you said, are afraid of salt, and they're afraid that salt's going to raise their high blood pressure. What you want to stay away from is traditional table salt. But I'm a major fan of Celtic sea salt, and I think probably the best salt is Himalayan salt, the pink salt. So when you have table salt, it's been stripped of the minerals and bleached. And in my practice as a medical intuitive healer, I find a lot of my clients are actually mineral deficient. When you're mineral deficient, that's going to actually affect your hydration levels, because you're not going to be able to absorb your water properly. So mineral deficiency is very, very common. So people are not getting enough minerals in their diet. And table salt is stripped of minerals and bleached. So Himalayan salt is going to help to balance your system's pH. It improves your hydration by providing trace minerals. And again, it's going to increase your overall mineral status. And what I find is anytime you have leg cramps, especially from the knee down, that's calcium, magnesium, potassium deficiency. And you can actually benefit not just by eating a banana, but by increasing the minerals in your diet and by taking high mineral salt like the Himalayan pink salt. The Himalayan pink salt is going to help reduce those muscle cramps. by helping improving your minerals and your hydration. It balances your blood sugar and helps to support your hormone balance. And again, even for people with high blood pressure, people can with high blood pressure can include the Himalayan pink salt in their diet safely without raising their blood pressure. And it acts as a powerful antihistamine. So when you're having those allergic reactions, it's not going to be so severe. So we have to remember that the more hydrated you are, the fewer allergic reactions you're going to have. So the salt is going to be very, very beneficial. And it's going to, the Himalayan pink salt is going to support your adrenal function, your adrenal glands that secrete your stress hormones, your cortisol and your adrenaline. They actually need minerals and need good quality, high mineral salt. And it's going to support your thyroid function. So, and finally, it's going to help you with your weight loss program because it's going to balance your hormones and improve your energy. So, Sutera, what kind of salt do you all use in your salt pipes?
The salt from the salt pipe is a rock salt from the salt cave, which is been formed in Eastern European, which is contain minerals, but definitely some mineral that have color like Himalayan salt, they don't have in this area. But I was in Ritrawe in Poland, like to visit the salt cave last year, and I found that they demonstrate lots of salt had been formed. There's so many kind of salt, and the inside the salt from the cave have so many minerals inside it, and that may present by color. And the salt, what we use is the salt that they use for the treatment for the people who have, which is the same salt from the salt cave what we used. Yeah.
Now, Sutera, let's discuss how people should use the salt pipe. So if somebody just has a garden variety cold, and sooner or later, lots of people get a cold, how should they use the salt pipe if they have a cold?
They can use the salt pipe. First of all, like if you already have the cold, you got the salt pipe, it can help you to recover much easier. But the best thing is like, but for the salt pipe, it should be used on a regular basis. Because like if you clean yourself, wash your teeth, what about your lungs? You forgot about the lungs that you use on everyday life. And if you help yourself by cleaning the lungs on every day, if you can get rid of those kind of cold and things much easier in the future, the chance that you're gonna get the cold, it will be less. But in terms of people already have cold, when you use the salt pipe, you will find a relief, and you feel like chest infection getting shorter time rather than just only taking antibiotic. Of course, you might be on antibiotic, but you still can use the salt pipe together with the medication. It doesn't have any contradiction each other. It helps each other, but later on you might not necessary to have antibiotic in the future.
Yeah, and you know, many people turn to antibiotics for a cold or a flu, and they find that it makes no difference. So we want to really be very, very careful with antibiotics. They're overprescribed, and you don't want to take too many antibiotics. If you can avoid antibiotics and use natural remedies like we're talking about in our show today, you're going to be way better off, because whenever you take an antibiotics, you're not only killing off the bad bugs, you're also killing off the good bugs. And okay, now let's talk about if you have bronchitis, how often should you use the salt pipe?
It's usually we recommend to use the salt pipe at least 15 to 20 minutes a day in order to let the body be able to absorb the lungs. For example, if you go to the salt room, you take about 45 minutes to inhale and exhale over there. But with the salt pipe, you should use at least 20 minutes, because before the body getting used to and absorb the salt into the body. And usually when we got the customer who got the bronchitis, I advise them to use like more often, because when you use the pipe, it doesn't have overdose problems. You can use as much as you you want, because it look like if you be able to stay on the seaside longer time, you'll be better off than stay only maybe 5 minutes, something like that. And then what the result, what they find the relief. They can breathe much easier, and they can bring up the phlegm that inside the lung much easier, rather than try like some, because the phlegm it also block the airway passage. That is a problem. But when we talking about people who have bronchitis or COPD, I have the very shortness of breath. I cannot breathe deeper. It go back to what you mentioned in the past. Like the breathing way what they did is not efficient enough. But the limitation because the blockage inside the airway passage. So if they use a salt pipe, they will be able to loosen the phlegm, open up the airway passage, and that will make them to breathe much easier and deeper, and get more oxygen and get more energy. Yeah.
Okay. Now, here at the Natural Healing Show, we encourage compassion for ourselves and all others. And some of us, of course, smoke cigarettes or smoke cigars. And, many people know that cigarettes and cigars or even chewing tobacco is not optimal for our health. And many people are in the process of thinking about giving up these habits. They're thinking about stopping cigarettes, or thinking about stopping the cigars and the chewing tobacco. So they're on the path to health and wholeness. So how can a salt pipe help someone who's working on giving up smoking?
Because they basically, with the people who smoking, they tend to use the smoking like the relaxation. But because the salt pipe is look like a pipe, you can use it when you want to use cigarette. Maybe you change your mind a little bit. Okay, I use the salt pipe this time, and try to reduce the number of the cigarette by replacing with the pipe. Because if you use the pipe, is you inhale and exhale as well. But rather than using that kind of cigarette, use the salt pipe might be more beneficial, and it will be like we have lots of customers who have problem with cigarette, want to stop the cigarette, and I advise it, when you want to use a cigarette, put down the cigarette and take the salt pipe instead. And
yeah, and how wonderful is that? How wonderful is that? Because it's all natural. Yeah.
And it's also helpful for them to the health getting better, and they can reduce the cigarette much more, because the wish to have cigarette that can be replaced by the salt pipe.
Yeah, I think that's a great suggestion, because whenever you are addicted to an activity like smoking a cigarette or cigar, you got to have a substitute. So
Yes.
holding a salt pipe in your hand instead of a cigarette or cigar is going to go a long way towards improving your health. So, Sutera, how is your husband's lung health now since he's been using the salt pipe?
He's getting much better. He doesn't have coughing too much now. And also during the years that when he have the chance to have catching cold things, it be minimized much more. And that is a great benefit for this. And also lots of people around us who we give out the pipe for them to try. We can see the result that sometimes in the whole family that everyone catching cold except the people who using the salt pipe. That is a wonderful thing for the salt therapy what we are using at the moment.
So, Sutera Ritrawe, any final thoughts for our audience about how they can improve their lung health naturally?
First of all, like they have to look after themselves for the thing what you advise at the first start, like how to breathe properly first. If they cannot breathe properly, they breathe shallow. Of course, they cannot get the amount of oxygen, cannot get energy to work. And so another thing is about the diet. Nowadays, lots of bad stuff like sugar, milk, and things that they consume on everyday life. They have to think about that kind of thing that might cause the problems. And also, the lastly, what I want to suggest, like if they have a chance, try to clean your lungs every day. in terms of to prevent lots of problems. And also when you use of the salt pipe is another little tip that is a device that you can control your breathing. Because when you breathe without things, you feel like you don't know whether you breathe long or short. But when you use a salt pipe, you can control it. You can breathe a bit longer, deeper, and that will help you to improve your lung capacity as well as get the benefit from the salt from the pipe. Yeah.
So thank you, Sutera Ritrawe of www.thesaltpipe.co.uk. This is a wonderful natural healing remedy. And here at the Natural Healing Show, we encourage you to seek out the very best natural healing remedies. You've been listening to Catherine Carrigan, host of the Natural Healing Show. Find out more about me and my work at catherinecarrigan.com and unlimitedenergynow.com. Now, if you go to unlimitedenergynow.com, that's where you're going to find all the wonderful free videos on breathing exercises, the wonderful pranayama, and articles about pranayama and how to do it and how helpful it is. So thanks so much for listening. And remember, when you heal your lungs and breathe naturally, you're going to feel great. We'll see you next time.